We check in on the men's college water polo scene. We talk with Olympian Tara Prentice, now capping up in Barcelona in Spain. We check in with LMU grad student Alika Naone on his water polo journey, plus more good news from Florida, all coming up next on The Counterattack. Hey everyone, Greg Mescall here. Thanks for joining us on The Counterattack here with USA Water Polo and Overnght. A lot to get to in the show. As we mentioned at the top, two big conversations that we're looking forward to sharing with you this week. Plus, we talk about the latest news in Florida, but we start with men's college water polo. A couple of big matchups this past weekend, more coming this weekend as we're getting towards the end of the non-conference slate, about to dive into the heavy part of the conference schedule leading towards the end of November and all those conference championships. We start first, the Pepperdine Waves making the trip to the Bay Area as they would take on the Cal Bears. Here's a look at the highlights on Overnght.
It's free on the weak side. Inoue moving in. Defenders giving chase, and he's on the board. Kai Inoue able to connect. Wilson goes off, 6-on-5 here for the Waves. 5:40 to play. Good look inside. Pina says no. With 8 on the shot clock. That's a long pass. Keeper out, but score it. Oh, crafty down low from Matty Walsh. 2-2 game. Excellent dish inside. Put it on the money. And Wilson takes full advantage. Akladani, Ponferrada, cross cage. No doubt. Oprea moving in. A variety of fakes and waits them all out. And then hits. Kid sides coming even. The strike is there. Ionescu. Out to 6 meters. A few fakes. Sides coming even. And again, right as the exclusion was ending. Still time. Sides coming even now. Left-hander rips it and hits it. 7-7. Sides coming even. Score it once again. Little space to operate now for the Waves. The lob just off the post. The tip-in is there. Instead, the Bears' attack remains intact. Ponferrada, you know it. He's got 4. Merkovich measuring and drills it. They'll take a perimeter shot. Gall knocked down. Sides coming even now. Inside off the post, they'll call the goal. Shot clock to 10, bar down. Bende party.
Now let's go East Coast water polo. Johns Hopkins taking on Mount St. Mary. Some of the highlights here also on Overnght. Mihalopoulos and Luke Mendelson get together to make it 4-0. Then later, Ioannis Skliras hitting for Mount St. Mary's. They trail 5-2. Skliras back here, 4 seconds left from the first penalty shot for the Mount. They're down by 2 now, 6-4. Bring it back to Johns Hopkins, 6-on-5 opportunity. Mihalopoulos capitalizing. Then his teammate Mason Hoffman hits the 5-meter. They go in front 8-5. Chrysostomos Valavanis makes it a 2-goal game for Mount St. Mary's. Then Max Belcher and Gavin Brook each respond for Johns Hopkins. They make it 11-7. Johns Hopkins, Chris Poisler gets a save here. Then Sharif Hosni goes back-to-back with saves for the Mount. Johns Hopkins up now 16-9. Hoffman makes it 17-9. Valavanis rockets the Mount's 10th goal in. Then Philip Long responds for Johns Hopkins. They go up 18-10. The Mount goes on a tear with several goals in the 4th. Then Johns Hopkins back to their man in the cage. Poisler gets a block here. We swing it over. Nicolas Agritelis and Alexandros Belesis go back-to-back in the Mount, now down 20-15. Mason Hoffman adds a 21st goal for Johns Hopkins. And then despite 2 late ones by Belesis, the Mount still falls in a very high-scoring affair. Take the over, 21-19. Johns Hopkins pulls it out with the victory. Then on to our college scoreboard. Highly anticipated bout on the East Coast. Fordham over Princeton 19-16. A lot of goals in that one too. USC doubling up Pacific 14-7. Let's talk SCIAC. Whittier, 2 better than Cal Lutheran, 14-11. UC Irvine over California Baptist 17-11. Let's stick with men's college water polo in our first big conversation of this week's episode. You might recall the name Alika Naone out of Oaks Christian, originally from Hawaii, real rising star, part of the Team USA pipeline ranks. He'd go on to play for Cal and Long Beach State, but had abrupt departures from both programs. He joined us this week to talk about his path back to college water polo, a truly humbling experience and what it's taken for him to move forward and have one more chance at the college game with the LMU Lions. All right, hey everyone. Our latest big conversation here on The Counterattack, talking with the LMU Lion, recently named to the Catino Award watch list, Alika Naone. Alika, how are you?
Great, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Good to talk with you here. You're a LMU Lion now. For those that followed your college water polo journey, started at Cal, Long Beach State, some time out of college water polo. Tell me what it's like to be back in the college game and what you're liking about being a part of this LMU squad.
I'm extremely grateful, first of all, to Coach David for giving me this opportunity. I think I it was a very humbling experience to lose my chance to play, and I think that time away from the sport definitely it was humbling. It was like a reality check, and being back is just like you don't realize, how lucky you are to have such amazing facilities, so many people supporting you and your dreams. And I think the college landscape has changed drastically. Like, I think this generation of players are clearly pushing the envelope based on just the U20 World Championship result and the bronze medal. I mean, getting to watch like former teammates go out there and rule the world, it was inspiring. And so I'm just so grateful to have a team at LMU that's backing me 100%, and I back them 100%, and we're here every day together trying to do something that this program hasn't done in a long time.
Alika, of course, referencing some of the great success there for the U20 men's silver this past summer, bronze a couple of years ago. So things trending up with that group. You mentioned LMU changes there, right? Longtime head coach retiring, new head coach, some new pieces. How have you kind of maybe tapped in, being an older guy, tapped into kind of your experience to try to help a group kind of gel together here?
Yeah, luckily having that, a little bit more experience and being around different teams, like, gives me the perspective of how important the team is. Like, to be honest, you can't do anything alone, and every opportunity you do get is because of six other guys putting you in that position and trusting you to do something, and the same for those guys. We're working for them to be in a position to help our team. And so Coach David is, he's doing a great job of letting us know like what to expect. Like, no one's gonna hand us like anything, and he's very clear with us that like we have all this hype, and we haven't been delivering as much as we've been hyped. And so it's really on us to come together and do something together rather than be a group of individuals.
You're in an extremely fun conference on the men's side, WCC, with San Jose State strong, right? A year ago it was California Baptist winning it all. Obviously, we know about UOP. You're about to get into the heart of the conference slate. When you kind of look up and down that list, how challenging is the gauntlet of WCC play? I know you want to try and be at the top of this whole thing come Air Force in November.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, I think San Jose has risen to a level that the rest of the group has to rise to as well. I think CBU and Pacific are right there. I think you can't forget about Pepperdine ever. They're right there too, and you can't leave out Air Force. Like, it's like all of us top to bottom. It's for sure a gauntlet. It's I think it's the most neck and neck conference. I mean, the MPSF is neck and neck as well. Like, that's they're definitely on a different level. And it's evident, but we're hoping that things come together at the right time, and we can peak at the right time and do something. But we'll never know until the day comes.
Sure. So let's kind of wind back. You were kind of hit on it a bit, right? Being grateful for having this opportunity and kind of not realizing maybe what you had in the sport of water polo till it was gone. You were at Long Beach State previously. started out at Cal. I guess let's kind of go back to the beginning a bit, right? You're originally from Hawaii. You start your high school water polo career at one of the legendary programs at Punahou, and then make the move to California to go to Oaks Christian. What made you make that leap at that time? If you think it back now, several years ago, going from Hawaii to California to try to advance your water polo game.
Yeah, so it was I remember it super clearly. It was I had 2 summers where Coach Clark Witherspoon at the 14U program at Stanford, he extended the opportunity to come and train over the summer, and like that taste, and then I was named to a. It was actually funny. My first year doing ODP, I was on the Hawaii B team, and then the second year I made selection camp, and I was so happy about this. And then I made the national team that year, and I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there with my eyes closed, like sitting at Ocean View, like hoping that I would hear my name. And when I did hear my name, I'd never forget the feeling. Like I just couldn't believe it. And so I got to play that whole summer and with the 14U team, and we ended up winning JOs, and then we did a national team training camp with the Canadian national team, and I got a call from Jack Coker, and he said, "Do you want to go to Jamaica?" And I was just like, "Of course!" I didn't even know what was happening in Jamaica. I just said yes, and it was the Pan American Games, and we got to play that. We ended up getting second, and we had a young team, and I had no business being on that team, but just seeing the level of athlete made me realize like I couldn't make, the jumps that I wanted to make in the sport in Hawaii. And so I begged my parents. I was like, please let me go to California. Like I want to, I really, my dream is to play for the United States in the Olympics. And they were like, okay, if you get, if you get all A's this semester and next semester, then we'll consider it. And so I made sure my studies were on point, and I applied to Oaks Christian because I knew Jack Coker and I knew Adrian Weinberg and I knew Jake Earhart, so I felt comfortable. And so then that opportunity arose, and I got to train there for 3 years, and Brett Ormsby and Brian Flax and Ross Sinclair all like took me to 2018 World Championships in Hungary, and we beat Hungary in the pre-tournament. We beat them by like 4 or 5, and then we cross over with them in the main tournament, and we go to a shootout, and we lost in the shootout, and that would have taken us to the top 4, and Hungary ended up getting third in that tournament, and so then I ended up going to Cal, and we had an amazing season, and we were the regular season champions. We beat UCLA in overtime, like most of the games we played them, like we were beating them, and then the practice before we go down to NC2As, I tore my groin. I did one breaststroke kick and like tore my groin, and I couldn't move, and I tried to play on it, but I just couldn't. It hurt too much to play, and we ended up losing to SC in the semifinal, and it was just so heartbreaking. And I came back, and Coach Evers sat me down and was like, "Hey, like, there's some things that we need to address. Like, you need to like change, how you are as a teammate." And I had too much pride, and like I was too arrogant to like just sit there and accept it and move forward. And so I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna go to UCLA, like, and looking back, that's like the one of the biggest regrets in my life, because like there's something to say for staying somewhere for 4 years, um and just giving your all to a program, and the loyalty of it, and at the time I didn't have the guidance or the foresight to just, stay there. And so,
If you reflect back on that now, right,
yeah,
as an older guy, what do you think you were doing that made you not a great teammate that I would guess maybe you tried to remedy in future stops?
yeah. You know what it was is just like just the as a freshman, you have to you have to know that everyone's gonna be on you, and it's your job. Like it's so much easier to just accept it and just be like, okay, and move forward. They tell you something, you say okay, and you just go because at the end of the day, they're just telling you that because that's just the way it is when you're the youngest and you're the new guy. Like you learn the culture. You don't know, and then when you're that third year, fourth year, then you know the culture and you set the standard. And so
And this is about like instilling the way that they play water polo, like what showing up on time for things, like kind of just a general like professional culture of how a college team runs.
for sure, like freshmen do cages. Freshmen take the cages out. Like it's such a simple thing, and it's and for me, I like I needed to be way more humble. Like now I see it with our freshmen and I help them because like I know what it feels like to just like it feels like the whole world is against you, but that's how it is when you're a freshman. And the light at the end of the tunnel is what keeps you going, and your brother next to you who's suffering with that to you is is what keeps you going. And I couldn't swallow the pill at the time.
And so you talked about, okay, I'm going to go to UCLA, but that doesn't happen, right? This is how you end up going from Cal to Long Beach State. What's that transition like, and how'd you end up with the beach?
Yeah, so originally UCLA said, of course, come down. And so then I moved all my stuff away, and then they said to me, hey, you know what? Like we heard from your other teammates that you're not the best teammate, and we're coming off a national championship, and so it only takes one person to ruin a group. So we can't move forward with that. And Gavin Royal was like kind enough to extend me an opportunity, and to be honest, I felt so bitter about just losing, my opportunity to play at a MPSF school, losing that like competition for a national championship. I felt like I also that summer like was cut from the junior worlds team, and I couldn't play in it, and I felt like everything I had ever worked for um, within the national team had kind of gone away, and I just at Long Beach I was so bitter and so upset that I couldn't be a great teammate, and you know I just I felt like nothing went my way and everything was against me, and so I didn't cherish the opportunity that Gavin had given me, and so I lost that opportunity too. Like we had a successful season. We won conference, but we lost to Davis, in the quarterfinal, who we beat by a lot earlier in the year, and I think we didn't take them as seriously as we should have. And I mean, especially Dan Layson, like such a legendary coach, and what he did for United States water polo and what he did with Radko Rudic is just like to me such an amazing part of water polo history. And so I didn't value it. I like almost like, yeah, I didn't treat it with the respect it deserved, and Gavin did the right thing by you know letting me like go out into the real world on my own and finish school on my own, and figure out that what I had was a gift and an opportunity that most people would do anything for.
Sounds like a couple of incredibly humbling years here that you had to live through, to put it mildly. And I imagine, right? You talk about being grateful for LMU. I have to imagine it was tough sledding, looking for a third program, looking back for, you go back to 2024 season, right? I mean, I'm sure you follow enough other sports, right? If someone says, wait a minute, this guy was at Cal, now he's at Long Beach State, like, seems like he has all the talent in the world. What's going on, right? How tough was that for you to kind of square your abilities with maybe what your reputation had become?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. I think it was 2 or 3 years of watching all these other athletes who I know well and I'd grown up against, and getting all the recognition and accolades that they deserved. They put in the time for, and they worked for, and watching it happen, and not having any chance to show what I had, and so it was painful for sure. Like, I felt like you know I had put my whole life towards this. I would like water polo, and wanting to go to the Olympics, and so it was painful, and it's a reality check that every opportunity I had was a gift. Like, I didn't, I never created any of it. It was someone handed it to me, and it's your job to take care of it, you know. And so, yeah, like, it was painful for sure.
So you've kind of had this, sounds like pretty deep reflection, right, to understand how you were as a teammate, and then kind of this bitterness at Long Beach State, and then you're kind of out of the college game for a year. Did you think that was it? I'll never play college water polo again? Where, I know you're playing club with the Channel Cats, right? Where was the college game living in your mind if we went back a year or so ago?
Yeah, I for sure thought. I mean, I knew for sure. I was like, there's nowhere I could go. Like, I mean, I talked to Coach Jack Hooker, and he said, hey, like, maybe you could go to a D3 school or something. But for me, I didn't want to play at that level, because I just felt like that wasn't my level. And yeah, it was the college game. I mean, I was playing for the Channel Cats because it was the highest level of competition I could get, and I couldn't get any contract overseas. And my mom said, you need to finish school. Like, you started it, you need to finish it. And like, she said, I didn't send you to private schools for you not to finish. And
Fair,
so
fair.
so I was like a duty I owed. And so I was working and swimming and lifting. And I mean, and the Channel Cats had a really good team last year, and so that was like my main focus. Was like, you know what, like, I want to show everybody that we're still competing at a high level, and like, we can, do something. We finished, I was very happy with our season with the Channel Cats. Like, we beat USC twice, we beat UCI twice, and and we finished sixth. And we didn't beat UCLA. They're at another level right now for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, it it's definitely tough watching UCLA, because you see how great they are, and every practice it's like they're just raising the level of water polo in the United States. And so you want to be a part of that for sure, but it's not in the cards. And we're doing something special here at LMU, and I and we get the opportunity to show what we can do as a team, and that's a blessing for sure.
So when you were talking about joining LMU, I imagine there was a conversation that had to be had, about, hey, I'm a new guy, or here's what I'll bring. How did you go about selling yourself in this last chance here at the college game?
So yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the Channel Cats, like, it never would have happened. I we were playing, I think we played UCLA, and then we played Long Beach the next morning, and Coach David was here on the pool deck, and I had played against Coach David before, and I had seen him at a Masters practice, and he was always really nice to me, and I always really respected him because he's an amazing player, you know, and and an amazing coach as well. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, I have I have eligibility to play." And so I approached him and I said, "Hey, like I can play another year." And he was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Like we should continue to talk." And he had a sit down meeting with me, and he was like, "Hey, like this is a huge opportunity for you to change the way people, see you. And so you need to, there's no talking back. You need to listen to what I say. If you have one strike, like if you do anything that, doesn't align with our goals, then it's bye-bye." And I was like, I couldn't believe I had the opportunity. And so I was like, of course, like this is the last chance. And, it's so fun to have to perform in the clutch. It puts the pressure on, and it's like, I think most athletes dream of that feeling of nervousness. And so every day you don't know. Every day you don't know. And so every day you have to give it everything. Otherwise it could be gone.
Yeah, just looking back at your career, you were VC Star Player of the Year as a high school senior, I want to say, and there was quotes in there, and you had some really big dreams, about the sport of water polo and what you were trying to do. And it's interesting you mentioned Jack Coker. I reached out to him before our talk and just said, like, what do you remember about Alika? And so I'm just going to read you what he told me about your skills. He was a fierce competitor, an extremely gifted athlete, able to do anything you asked skill wise, and wanted to prove to everyone he was the alpha in the water. He had a knack about finding the back of the net and an explosiveness that was unmatched in high school. If I'm to compare him to another player in the world, it would be that of Italian national teamer Francesco De Fulvio. Same tenacity and desire to dominate their opponent.
Wow. That was really nice. Fulvio is on another level for sure. And that's, I mean, yeah, that's the kind of player that I think anybody wants to be, is his level. Like he's for sure the next level. And I appreciate Jack Coker so much because, I mean, ultimately he is who helped me get to another level, because those 3 years in high school, I mean, we accomplished some pretty amazing things for what we had. And I mean, look at Adrian Weinberg. Like,
Yeah.
Adrian Weinberg's arguably one of the best goalies in the world. And and at the time I had no idea that I was playing with one of the best goalies in the world.
Where do you, it's funny hearing you talk, right? Like I totally understand you have this gratitude for this last chance, but like there's still I think a competitor in there that feels like you can do this at the very best level. Do you let yourself dream about water polo beyond college at a very high level? Have you, in that article you talked about wanting to be an Olympian and represent Team USA. Have you had to park that idea somewhere far away? How do you think about what you used to dream about and what you're dreaming about today?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, after losing two opportunities back to back, honestly, after losing the opportunity at Cal, in my heart, I felt like I had lost the opportunity. Um, watching Team USA win a bronze medal, that kind of flipped a switch in my head where I was like, I mean, I know those guys. Like, I've grown up with these guys. Like, if these guys are competing at this level, like I know I can. And and so I talked to Coach David. I said, yeah, like I would love to I would love the opportunity to compete overseas. And he said to me, he's like, look, You need to focus on this season, and that's all that matters. And so that's all I'm really thinking about right now is like, um, what can we do here at LMU? What can I do to help these guys reach the level that we want to reach?
The last thing for you, because there's probably a freshman or a sophomore somewhere in a college team right now, and it's just like not clicking for them, and they can't figure it out, and they had big hopes, right? It's just not working for them.
Yeah.
How did you get to a place of being so introspective about this journey that you've gone on, where you can kind of just openly talk about like, hey, it was on me, like I just screwed this up?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think just self accountability, like, and time, I mean, I was lucky enough to have time to really think about what had happened and why it happened. And I think just the more accountability you take, the more like John Wooden says it, like the best athletes worry about what they can control and they don't worry about what they can't control. So I was removed from two teams. That's out of my control. So what can I control is what I can do with this opportunity in front of me. And so maybe you're on your team and you're not playing as much as you want to play, or you're not making an impact as much as you want to make an impact. You just gotta think to yourself, okay, don't blame anybody else for this. Like, think what is it that I can do to change this, and then take the steps in that direction.
Good stuff, Alika. Thank you for sharing a bit of your story, and I can tell you're grateful to be back out there. And just by looking at the box scores, right, there's still some gas left in the tank for sure. So good luck to you and the Lions the rest of this season.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Now we turn to women's water polo, and before we get to our second big conversation with Olympian Tara Prentice, check out two-time Olympic gold medalist Ashley Johnson. This was just a teaser shared by our hype man Flavor Flav, but Ashley appearing in a new Public Enemy video coming out. This is pretty awesome. We're excited to see the full thing, but again, you wonder about the impact of Flavor Flav. We weren't seeing water polo athletes in Grammy award-winning hip-hop group videos in the past, and we are now. So excited for more of that. And now we turn our attention back to Team USA and Tara Prentice, one of many athletes headed abroad to cap up this season in Europe. We recently announced our Water Polo Passport Series. After guesting with CN Sabadell last season, she's now signed up for a full slate, joined by fellow Team USA goalie Isabel Williams. Tara joined us late in the evening in Spain after a evening practice to tell us all about her journey there to Sabadell and her time coming up in the Team USA ranks and what has her excited as well for the future here in water polo. So please enjoy this conversation. All right, hey everyone, welcome back. Our latest conversation here on the counterattack with the Olympian Tara Prentice. Tara, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right, Tara. One of my favorite people. We share the same birthday, fellow Sagittarius or I don't know how we're also both extremely Irish. How are things in Spain? You just joined CN Sabadell on kind of a full season slate. We're just talking to you after evening practice. Tell us what life is like and how you're enjoying the season thus far.
Yeah, definitely. I moved over here September 1st. That was our first day of training. I literally arrived August 30th or 31st, and I remember just being like super excited to meet the team, be with the team. We're a relatively very new team. Like a few of us returned from the last season, and with that, it was really nice just meeting the new friendly faces and just getting to know the team. And now we've been here for a month, and we're just training every single day. A lot of gym, a lot of swimming, a lot of water polo, and just a different style of water polo as well. And we're really enjoying ourselves over here. Like I'm here with Isabel and we're having a really good time. And we're rooming with Athena from the Greek national team. And between the three of us, we're just having a lot of fun in our apartment and just really enjoying the lifestyle.
How helpful is it? How fun is it to have one of your Team USA teammates and Isabel Williams join you in this adventure as well?
It's amazing. I mean, I played against her when she was at Cal and hated playing against her. She's a wall in the cage, and it's just really cool to like see the person behind the player and just see how passionate she is, how much she cares about the sport, and how much she wants to give back to the sport. And for me, I'm just really excited to be a teammate with her now with Sabade, but also even for Team USA. I'm really excited for her and her future.
We just announced the water polo passport series. It kind of breaks down who's playing where for Team USA. I think people wonder sometimes, they see the transfer news and they say, all right, Tara Prentice is going from here to here. How does it happen? When you learn that you're going to play for this club and obviously you had some familiarity playing in Europe, are you putting feelers out? Is people reaching out to you? What's that kind of free agency process, to kind of put an American term on it, to
Yeah.
find a new club home?
No, definitely. I think with us, we just have so many resources. Like I know I could talk with Adam or talk with the coaching staff and, express like this need to play abroad and things like that. And for me, it was just kind of an opportunity arose because at the time they were playing with two very strong centers, Paula and Micah, but Micah became pregnant. So in the sport of water polo, most teams have, two centers, and they kind of reached out for me for that tail end of the season, asking if I wanted an opportunity. And it's very hard to say no to Sabade. It's a great club with so much history. And, Maggie played at Sabade, Kylie Nuschel, and all this crowd who, are like faces of USA water polo. They obviously got so much better playing with these clubs and stuff. And it was just an opportunity for me. I knew it would really push myself, and always having to be very consistent and making sure, to play at this high level and stuff. And it's just, for me, I was just really wanting to take advantage of it.
And then the day to day, we're talking to you now, and we were just joking before we started. Like it's a bit of a late night, right? In general, given the time zone, but you train later. There's like that midday break. Give us what a daily day looks like in a professional water polo athlete's life.
Yeah, definitely. So for us, we always start around 11 a.m. and we have gym usually 3 to 4 times a week. So like on that Monday, we'll go into the gym, go work out there for an hour 15. And it's really cool. They kind of separate us by positions as well, which is like something a little bit different than America. Usually we all kind of lift together, but the centers have a specific lift. Okay, the goalies have a specific lift. So it's very interesting just seeing a country do it in a different way. And then from there, we'll hop in the pool. Like the mornings usually tend to be like some form of like conditioning, whether it's like we're doing a circuit or we're doing a swim set, or maybe even just working on like individual positioning. Like I'll work on some center stuff or post stuff. And then from there, the evenings are usually scrimmaging. Like today, we just scrimmaged the 16 and under boys, and it's like, everyone has each other in chokeholds, and it's very aggressive, very feisty, but it's great. I mean, like international play in a sense is very similar to that for centers. You're kind of fighting and then, trying to get the ball and trying to make a move, score a goal and stuff. So those evenings really consist of that, scrimmaging one another, like doing 6-on-6. Just we have more people in the evenings as well. In the mornings, it's a little bit different. In Spain, some of the younger girls that are with us in the evening, they actually go and train for their own Spanish national team through CAR is like their training center. So they go train there in the morning. So we have very small numbers in the morning. We'll have like 6 to 8 people. But again, it's really nice just working on those technical skills and just that conditioning. But yeah, we're exhausted by the end of the night. No, that's all I was gonna say. We're exhausted by the end of the night. As you and I were joking around, like I'm coming in at 10 p.m. Okay, time to have dinner. Okay, time to catch up with people in America because everyone's awake now. So it's definitely adjusting to that lifestyle as well.
Yeah, yeah. And then, you're coming off of some pretty busy years with Team USA. I was kind of curious how it compares to residential training leading up to an Olympic Games, where it's that similar all-in focus on water polo. Are there a lot of similar vibes to those two things? Obviously, there's the Olympics, which is a whole other thing, but just the day-to-day grind.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, like it's slightly different because obviously like for the national team there's the 18 to 20 of us, and then at the end of the day there's 13 that go to the Olympics, whereas we're in this environment now where we know we're going to play all the games, and it's more maybe kind of like a college setting in the sense of like it's not like you can have your 15, 14 people on the bench, but definitely like you're saying that day to day, like the just attention to detail, the focus, like focused on conditioning at the start as well. Like we're starting our league October 11th. We play this Sunday against San Andreo, who just won Champions League last year and is like really up and coming and rising and showing like their ability to play at this high level. So we have like very important games coming up. So although we're doing a lot of conditioning this last month, it's now kind of transitioning into this tactical view. And I think that compares to the national team as well. Like maybe that fall, we have a lot of focus on individual skill. Okay, let's focus on, getting faster at swimming, things like that. But then as we approach the Olympics more, okay, let's start looking at the other teams. What are they running? What are we going to run against them? So just, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see kind of that transition, like how it'll be, in the January to May sequence of the season.
You always hear when people play club water polo that there are perks involved. There's like the local cafe that everyone gets to have lunch at. Is there some setup where you find you and your teammates are kind of doing that team building outside of the pool, sharing meals, that sort of thing?
Yes, no, definitely. It's been really fun. We have like lunch together every single day, and like we get like 2 courses of meals. They're delicious and it's super fun. We're hanging out, and yeah, we definitely have that social setting, which maybe is a little bit different in college just because like in college you might have to go rush off to class or go rush off to, whatever, aspect you have next in your life or whatever. But here like it's very like routine, like okay, we finished practice, okay, let's go have lunch, let's go have a chat. And it's fun because some people speak English and some people speak Spanish, so it's like been very like quick for Isabel and I to like really acclimate and be like, okay, we gotta we gotta get our Spanish down if we actually want to contribute to these conversations rather than one word answers or like because for me it's very important to show your personality and like your authenticity. If I'm just kind of sitting there like a mute at the table every day, like maybe it doesn't build as much trust or little things like that, but it's important for me to just express myself and, learn this language and, show the teammates we can be, the friends we can be and stuff.
It's funny though. I'm sure there's just stuff that you can pick up just by the cadence or like the intention. I was talking to Kirk Everest last week. Cal has a freshman goalie who's from Spain, and he was talking about kind of the adapting to the American style. And he said, I told the goalie just like say whatever the first thing is that comes to your mind, even if it's in Spanish, just say it, and the guys will figure it out. And I kind of wonder in the pool, even if you don't know what they're saying, like what they're saying.
No,
Water polo.
that's what Isabella, Athena, and I, every time we walk home, we talk about it. We're like, oh, we need to be doing this, we need to be doing that. And we're like, okay, this is water polo. If your person has the ball, you got to block the ball. If you see the center's open, you got to drop back in the zone. Like, it's very, like, you can't be like, oh, well, I didn't understand what they were saying. And this, it's like, no, come on. We all know how to play the game. Like, exactly what you're saying. Like, hopefully by this, October, November, December mark, like when they say atrás, we know that means we need to come back or like, little different aspects of the game. And it has been interesting when Isabel and I are talking about the practices as well, because their numbers are different. Like our 1-2 side is their 4-5 side. And so we're always like, okay, do you want me to say it in American or like Spanish? And like, it's like half the conversation is deciding what side we're talking about. And then we can finally talk about, okay, this is what you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just adjusting to that as well, for sure.
Have you guys landed on a strategy? Are you going to use the European numbers?
Isabel gets furious with me if I try to bring the American numbers. She says, "No, we are in Spain. You need to," and so and Isabel is the boss, so that's how it goes. Yeah, it's a very short conversation. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
It's just kind of talking about your water polo journey, and it's cool that you're there with Isabel as well. She's from Maryland. You come from Temecula in their own ways, right? Maybe not known as like huge water polo hotbeds. If you think about the other areas where people come from to play the sport at a high level, specifically your journey, you've just been kind of hammered down since Paris, right? You went right, kind of you re-up again with Team USA. You're playing abroad. Did you give yourself time to kind of like reflect on what you accomplished by making it to the Olympic Games? Have you thought much about that, and what feelings come up for you?
Oh goodness, I don't know why I'm getting a little emotional thinking about that. I think for me, it's really hard when you don't succeed in the sense of like that ultimate goal. Like, obviously, we wanted to be on the podium. We wanted to continue that legacy of USA water polo and be Olympic gold medalists. And so, with that, there's obviously a bit of like sadness. But exactly to your point, like, I also like, for me, like, my teammates are most important to me. Like, I look at Jewel Romer now, who's like playing for Matro and like having the time of her life playing. Like, her and I got lunch the other day after her game and things like that. And I think for me, it's definitely been a day by day process and just realizing that like, just because potentially you don't reach this ultimate goal or like, the winning standard or things like that, it's more important to me, like, okay, what kind of teammate was I? What kind of like, player was I? Was I a hard worker? Was I giving my all? And like, if you give your all to something and it doesn't end up, turning out the way you wanted it to, at least you gave your all. And I know that I did that and I like take that away with me. And I also know there's more room to grow, more room to learn. And I mean, that's why I also came back. Like I had a really strong sense of like wanting to just improve situations for the future generation, creating a more vulnerable atmosphere, creating a more open atmosphere because whenever you lose, there's so many more things you can nitpick and stuff. And it's kind of hard because you never want to get down that tangent and you don't want to be like super critical and like just be so negative about the process. But for me, like at the end of the day, like there was a sense of connection that I wish we achieved a bit more. And I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I think all of us have been very vulnerable after this process, and just realizing, okay, maybe this was a bit of a shortcoming of our team, but what are we going to do about it now? And like, for like the up and comers, the Rachel Gazanaga, the Ava Strikers, Emily Osmus just had the summer of her life, like really, stepping into the fold. How do we further empower these individuals to, enjoy their Team USA experience? And I don't know, that really drives me. And I'm very much like a talker. I like having conversations with people. Like, of course I'm gutted. We didn't do as well as we wanted to, but at the same time, like, I'm able to come home to a loving family. I'm able to play a sport I love. I'm able to go live abroad in a country, and learn a language and learn a culture. Like, if I keep looking at the negatives, like it just brings you down. Like, you need to realize like there's so much more to just winning.
But still, I wonder if you look at your journey, right, and you look at your teammates and kind of the paths they took, right? So you mentioned Temecula, right? Murrieta for high school. You had started at UCLA, right, but then quickly go to UC Irvine. There haven't been as many athletes on the women's side, right? I think you were the first, right, to be from
Yeah.
the side to make the Olympic
Mhm.
team. Um, it's not impossible, not necessarily unexpected, but it wasn't. I think people looked at that and said, like, there are teammates you had that when they were 15 and 16, they were like, well, it's only a matter of time before she's at the Olympics. I don't know if you had that same expectation in your own heart and mind, or you've surprised yourself with where you've gotten. Like, how do you square your path with where you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, just being super transparent, it was like the household I grew up in. Like, I remember like my dad, like he just was so engaging in my sport life. Like, I grew up swimming and stuff, and every single day he'd be like, okay, like how do you want to get better today? And like, like I remember like we would be watching like a sporting event or like a TV show, and during the breaks I would like do push-ups. And I know that's like such a random like stupid thing, but and like I remember he got like a pull-up bar when I was like 6 or 7, and it wasn't like one of these things where it was like, okay, this dad is overkill. He is like, it was very much more like, hey, there's this here, like, hey, do you want to do push-ups in between? And as soon as he kind of realized, I was like, oh yeah, I do want to do that. Like, I think it was just a very nurturing relationship, and I had that with my mom as well. Like, every single sporting event. Like, she's an ER nurse at the time, and like she would work a 7 to 7, and I'd have like an 8 a.m. game, and she'd be there in the crowd, like cheering me on. Like, so, and like having that support, I feel like every single shortcoming I came through, like where like, obviously I was very stressed when I was transferring from UCLA. This is like a powerhouse school in my head. Like, that could be like a career ender, or like, gosh, she'll never make the national team. But I also like realized the strength of like leaning on those around you and realizing like, okay, if I'm not happy right now and this isn't an opportunity for me to be happy, I need to like change situations, change scenarios, and realize like, it doesn't matter what other people think. It's important for me to be happy, to be a good daughter, a nice teammate, things like that. And I just wasn't achieving that in different aspects of my life, and just realizing to lean on others. And I mean, just being frank too, like I like, not in a like cocky way, but I knew I had the potential. Like, I knew like I had the length, I had athleticism, and I'm truly not meaning this in a cocky way, but more like just the, ability to learn how to work hard and like work hard for your teammates and aspects like that. Maybe I needed to learn that a bit more along the way, but I was always very driven, and I just had a very nurturing environment to support that. And I'm like, I'll always be thankful to my parents, always be thankful, like so many like youth coaches I had, and like at UC Irvine, like I had Dan and Andrew who were really in my corner as well. And I mean, like they did a good job of bringing in Olympians as like the third volunteer coach or like assistant coach. Like, I had Elise Williams for a few years. My first year I had Melissa Seidemann, who was like, oh my goodness, like if I had a bad game, she was like on my case. And I was like, okay, like this is scary. And I had Jamie Nuschel, who was like, her and Melissa were the same season. It was such a great bonding moment, like them, because maybe they're a little bit different, but also just as intense. And yeah, I mean, like I knew this could come in the future. I didn't know how it would fold or play out, but yeah, I knew this was definitely a potential.
So how great is it then that you can kind of maybe inspire others, that you can take maybe a different path, right? And I, what I'm getting at, right, is like it doesn't have to be Newport Harbor to UCLA to the Olympics. No knock on all the great people that have come through there.
No,
There
definitely.
are there are other ways to get this done.
I mean, that's the most exciting thing about sports. They love the underdog story. They love, people coming from random places and just aspects like that. Like, I just think I really like always lean on like the importance of like leaning into others, leaning into your coaches, leaning into your teammates. Like, like trust is built like by like camaraderie, and you can't do this alone. It's a team sport. Like if you try and just shoot all the goals or different aspects, like you need to like read the room, you need to read the situation. There's so many other aspects you need to develop. You need to learn to be humble, you need to learn to be a good teammate, and just so many other aspects. So I just think like for those who maybe have the background where they're like, oh my goodness, I will never make a national team, like maybe look at some of this, exactly what you're saying, look at some of the backgrounds, look at the stories, but also realize like if you put yourself in positive situations, if you're going to practice every single day, if you're talking to your coaches about these aspirations, talk to your parents about these aspirations, or people you confide in, say, hey, I want to go play Division 1 water polo one day. And also realizing if you don't play Division 1 water polo, it's not the end all be all. Maybe you're going to be great in some other aspect of life, or even who knows, you could go play fantastic in Division 2, develop, go play abroad. You like the one thing you learn in sports, it's never written down and okay, this is exactly how it's going to go. You know what I mean? You just got to stay the course and be relentless in it.
You mentioned your parents and your home life, and I got the chance to talk with them a bit in Paris. A fun group to hang out with, by the way. But I knew you were Irish, and I didn't realize your parents were like from Ireland.
They
Irish.
are
What's
legit.
Yeah, legit Irish. Is there like a fun cultural thing or something like that they brought from home that was like part of something you guys did that maybe was like not common in America, but was like a thing that they always, like I can remember my grandmother putting on like the Irish Rovers and like music stuff like this. She's from Ireland originally. Like, was there a thing that they brought to your childhood that stands out fondly?
Ooh, that is a good question. Okay, so I would say there's two things. So because they lived in Ireland, it was way easier for them to obviously have vacation in Europe. Like every summer, my mom would go to Italy. It was like her family's vacation. They would do like I think it was like a road trip thing. Like they would drive to like London, take a ferry. Like it was this whole process. And every summer they would just enjoy that family trip in Italy. And so for us, we always had a strong sense of travel. Like we went, like I've been to Ireland probably 5 or 6 times. Like I haven't been there in so long now just because of sports. Our summers are so busy and stuff, but just that strong sense of travel and seeing what's out there has been something that I've always like really enjoyed. And then I would say, like, I'm the oldest in my family. And so, like, my dad would wake up at like the crack of dawn for the soccer games. Like, if they were playing at, I don't even know the times, like 1 or 3 p.m. or whatever, it would be like, our 7 a.m. or like ridiculous time. So I remember I would like wake up like early age, like, 6, 7, 8, and be like, oh, my dad's been up since 4. What the heck is he up since 4 for? And so obviously I ask him and he's like, oh, well, I like Leeds United. And so that kind of became like a strong sense of my childhood as well. Like every weekend, if I didn't have sports early in the morning, I'd be up at like, crack of dawn watching. And I liked Chelsea at the time. And and I still do like Chelsea, but just watching sports over the weekends. And that was just such a nice bonding moment because maybe I'm not like having full on conversations with my dad because it's 5 a.m. and like no one needs that. But it's just the sense of like, cheering for a goal at the same time or like a really good defensive play and being like, oh my God, like he got it such a nice tackle there. Like that was very a strong, like just a sense of like also like committing to something, like, you know what I mean? The simplicity of like, okay, waking up every morning to go watch Chelsea play or go watch Leeds United. That's my dad's team. And yeah, it's just that aspect of life because in America, soccer is definitely popular, but maybe not as popular as like American football or basketball, which is, every country has their own what they like the most. But for me, like that strong sense of soccer in the household was always really fun.
And your brother's a pretty legit soccer player, right?
Yeah, he's doing a gap year right now, and then he's going to be off to San Diego State, which is amazing. Yeah.
Good stuff, Tara. Last thing for you, you're in all these indoor pools now. I wondered how much you're enjoying not having to wear like 4 gallons of sunscreen every day.
See, that was the other thing I was going to compare you and I because we both get so sunburnt. If we're out in the sun, like this is just, it's Irish. It's the way it goes. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. And the pools are cold as well, which I like. So it's like a double, like, because if you're in an indoor pool and it's like 100 degrees, that ain't it. But if it's a cold pool as well, you are flying. You can accomplish anything in the world. You have opportunities. It's amazing.
Oh, that's great. Well, Tara Prentice, thanks so much for joining us here. Good luck the rest of the season here in Spain, and we'll see you back with Team USA very soon.
Thanks for having me.
Once again, thanks to Tara for joining us here. 2 great conversations, more to come next week on the Counterattack. Now let's share some photos from some member club activity. We're always putting the call out there, share some of the things that you're taking part in here in the world of water polo. And big thanks to the Denver Squid for sharing some photos here from their recent event, the Rocky Mountain Oyster Fest. It was a 2-day water polo and inner tube water polo event hosted at Denver's Veteran Memorial Aquatic Center, the old VMAC, this past weekend. It's the 5th year of the Rocky Mountain Oyster Festival. Thanks again to the crew for sharing some of these photos, wishing them all the best as they move forward in their future competitions. And let's check in on Florida high school water polo. More good news. We talked about the collaboration announced last week, press release going out this week. USA Water Polo and the FHSAA, that's the governing body in Florida high school athletics, pledging to work together to not only save high school water polo, but to help grow the game. So more to come there. And then also an Instagram account just recently started by the FHSAA to help promote all aquatic sports, including water polo. So looking forward to seeing more content there. You can give that account a follow and help share your support of high school water polo in Florida. And now time for our Malmston Goal of the Week. We bring you to Camp Lindo High School, Northern California, little boys high school water polo. Check out the passing here. Sam Stores, the beneficiary, slams this home on the post, and that's our Malmston Goal of the Week. Don't forget you can share some of your favorite goals by sending us a DM or tagging us at USAWP. Also check in with the Overnght social media channels as well. And let's take a look at some upcoming events. First, later this month, or October, headed to Mesa, Arizona, and then the Champions Cup coming up in Bloomington, Indiana. And then on to December, we've got the NCAA Men's Water Polo Championship at Stanford. Don't forget that championship final, December 7th. That'll be live on ESPNU, streaming on ESPN Plus, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. More information to come soon as well on the Division III Men's Championship. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for joining us. And don't forget, when you're on the counterattack, look weak side.